What if I told you that one of the greatest mysteries in all of biblical history has yet to be fully unraveled? A mystery that spans thousands of years, crosses continents, and touches on some of the most profound questions of our faith. Imagine a once united nation, chosen by God, destined for greatness, and united under legendary kings such as David and Solomon. This nation stood at the pinnacle of power, prosperity, and divine favor. The people lived in the land promised to their forefather Abraham, a land flowing with milk and honey. But this magnificent kingdom did not remain whole. After the golden age of Solomon's reign, the kingdom of Israel was torn apart, divided into two separate entities. The southern kingdom, Judah, remained relatively intact, home to the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, while the northern kingdom of Israel, composed of 10 tribes, seemed to fade into the annals of history. These 10 northern tribes, descendants of patriarchs such as Ephraim, Manasseh, and Naphtali, disappeared from the biblical narrative after being exiled by the mighty Assyrian Empire. For centuries, their fate has puzzled scholars, theologians, and historians alike. Where did they go? Could entire tribes of God's chosen people have simply vanished, their legacy lost forever? And yet, the Bible speaks of their future, of a time when these lost tribes will be found and brought back into the fold, playing a pivotal role in the prophetic end-time events. Their reemergence is not just a historical question, it holds the key to unlocking some of the most profound and mysterious prophecies in the Bible. Could the long-awaited return of these 10 tribes mark the beginning of the final chapters of human history, as foretold in the Scriptures? In today's video, we will embark on a journey through time, exploring the ancient world of the Israelites, following the trail of the lost tribes from the deserts of the Middle East to the farthest corners of the earth. We will examine the biblical clues, historical evidence, and modern claims that seek to explain where these tribes went and how their return could shape the course of future events. Are we living in the age when the lost tribes of Israel will finally be revealed? And if so, what does that mean for the fulfillment of end-time prophecy? Buckle up as we take you on an in-depth exploration of one of the Bible's most enduring enigmas, the lost tribes of Israel and their hidden role in God's ultimate plan for the world. The story of the 12 tribes of Israel begins with the patriarch Jacob, also known as Israel, the grandson of Abraham, whose name and destiny were inseparably linked to the promises of God. Jacob fathered 12 sons, each of whom would become the ancestor of one of the tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes were not just a collection of families, they represented the very foundation of the nation that would carry forward the covenant God had made with Abraham. Each tribe was destined to inherit a specific portion of the promised land, which was divided among them once they entered Canaan under the leadership of Joshua. These tribes were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph's sons Ephraim and Manasseh, who each received a portion of land, and Benjamin. Each tribe had its unique characteristics, customs, and territories, yet they were all united under the law given to Moses at Mount Sinai. Together they formed a powerful nation that was to be a light to the Gentiles, displaying the glory of God to the surrounding pagan nations. The reigns of King David and his son Solomon marked the height of Israel's unity and power. David, a man after God's own heart, established Jerusalem as the political and spiritual center of the nation, and Solomon built the magnificent temple that would stand as the symbol of God's presence among his people. But after Solomon's death, internal strife and discontent led to a civil war, dividing the once united kingdom into two, the southern kingdom of Judah and the northern kingdom of Israel. The northern kingdom, home to 10 of the 12 tribes, quickly fell into moral and spiritual decay. Despite repeated warnings from prophets such as Elijah, Amos, and Hosea, the people of the northern kingdom turned away from God, embracing idolatry and false worship. Their rebellion against the covenant resulted in divine judgment. In 722 BC, the Assyrian Empire, under the ruthless leadership of King Shalmaneser V, invaded the northern kingdom. The Assyrians laid waste to the land, destroyed the cities, and took the people into captivity. The 10 tribes of the northern kingdom were forcibly relocated to various parts of the Assyrian Empire, scattered across regions that are now modern-day Iraq, Iran, and Syria. And then, just like that, the 10 tribes vanished. Unlike the southern kingdom of Judah, which was later exiled to Babylon but returned after 70 years, the 10 northern tribes never made their way back to the Promised Land. Their disappearance from the biblical record has fueled centuries of speculation, debate, and intrigue. Did they assimilate into the cultures around them, losing their identity? Or did they maintain their distinct heritage in secret, waiting for the right moment to re-emerge? The Bible gives us tantalizing clues about their future, hinting that the lost tribes will once again take their place among the people of Israel in the last days. In the book of Isaiah, we read of a second regathering, in which God will bring back his people from the four corners of the earth. Ezekiel's vision of the Valley of Dry Bones speaks of a miraculous resurrection of the nation of Israel, including the reunification of the two kingdoms, Judah and the lost tribes of Israel. And in the book of Revelation, we see the 12 tribes once again standing together, sealed for protection during the tumultuous events of the Great Tribulation. But for now, the question remains, where are the lost tribes? Are they truly lost, or are they waiting to be revealed in the fullness of time as part of God's prophetic plan? For centuries, the fate of the 10 lost tribes of Israel remained shrouded in mystery. Scattered by the Assyrian conquest, their identity seemed to disappear into the folds of history, absorbed into the cultures of their captors, or assimilated into foreign lands. Yet, despite this apparent vanishing, whispers of their existence have echoed throughout the centuries, and in recent times, several groups across the world have come forward, claiming descent from these lost tribes. These modern-day claimants offer compelling, sometimes controversial, evidence that they may indeed be the long-lost descendants of ancient Israel. From the highlands of Africa to the mountains of Asia, and even the forests of South America, these groups present a fascinating puzzle blending history, tradition, and prophecy. The Beit Israel of Ethiopia. Among the most well-known of the claimants are the Beit Israel, also known as the Falasha or Ethiopian Jews. This group claims descent from the tribe of Dan, one of the 10 northern tribes of Israel. For thousands of years, they preserved ancient Jewish customs, rituals, and a deep sense of connection to the people of Israel, despite their isolation from the wider Jewish world. Their journey is a remarkable one, filled with challenges and triumphs. According to their oral tradition, the Beit Israel have maintained their Jewish identity since the days of the biblical kingdom of Israel. Even in the face of persecution and exile, they clung to their faith and practices. The wider world, however, only became fully aware of their existence in the 20th century. This led to a dramatic and historic event, their mass immigration to Israel. In the late 20th century, under the threat of famine and political instability in Ethiopia, operations such as Operation Moses in 1984 and Operation Solomon in 1991 were carried out by the Israeli government to bring tens of thousands of Ethiopian Jews to Israel. These missions were seen as modern-day echoes of ancient prophecies, where the Jewish people would be gathered from the four corners of the earth. The story of the Beit Israel raises many questions. Could this community truly be the descendants of the tribe of Dan, exiled centuries ago? Genetic studies have been inconclusive, yet the strength of their faith and tradition suggests a deep, ancestral connection to ancient Israel. Their return to the Holy Land is a powerful symbol of the enduring nature of God's covenant with his people. The Bene Israel of India. Across the vast expanse of the Indian subcontinent lies another group that claims descent from the lost tribes of Israel, the Bene Israel of Western India. According to their tradition, they trace their lineage to the tribe of Ephraim, one of the leading tribes of the northern kingdom of Israel. For centuries, the Bene Israel lived in relative isolation, preserving their Jewish practices while blending into the cultural fabric of Indian society. The Bene Israel maintained a form of Judaism that, although somewhat altered by time and isolation, still preserved the core tenets of the faith: observance of the Sabbath, dietary laws, and circumcision. Their oral history tells of shipwrecked Israelites who, fleeing persecution, arrived on the coast of India and established a small community. Although their rituals took on Indian influences, they always remembered their Israelite origins. Over time, the Bene Israel came into contact with other Jewish communities, including the Kokan Jews and Baghdadi Jews, which helped them reconnect with mainstream Jewish life. In the 18th and 19th centuries, British colonialists and Christian missionaries identified the Bene Israel as part of the broader Jewish diaspora, and this led to increased awareness of their unique heritage. In the 20th century, following the establishment of the State of Israel, many Bene Israel emigrated to Israel, where they were welcomed as long-lost brethren. Their story is another captivating chapter in the search for the lost tribes, blending biblical tradition with historical migration. The Pashtun of Afghanistan and Pakistan. In the rugged mountains of Afghanistan and Pakistan, the Pashtun people, also known as Pathans, claim a direct lineage from the lost tribes of Israel, specifically the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh. This claim is supported by various traditions, cultural practices, and oral histories that have been passed down through generations. Many Pashtuns refer to themselves as Bani Israel, meaning sons of Israel, and their tribal structure, codes of conduct, and even some religious rituals bear striking similarities to ancient Israelite customs. For example, Pashtun men are known to perform circumcision on the 8th day, a practice common to Jews. Traditionally, they have customs regarding the lighting of candles on certain occasions and the observance of dietary laws reminiscent of kosher practices. While most Pashtuns are now Muslim, they preserve ancient oral traditions that suggest their ancestors were once followers of the God of Israel. The fact that the Pashtun territories are located in what was once part of the Assyrian Empire further fuels speculation that they could be descendants of the exiled Israelites. Some historians and anthropologists find the Pashtun claim to Israelite descent credible, while others remain skeptical. Nevertheless, their unique traditions and the persistence of their oral history make them one of the most intriguing groups in the ongoing search for the lost tribes. The Igbo Jews of Nigeria. On the other side of the world, in the heart of West Africa, the Igbo people of Nigeria also claim descent from the lost tribes of Israel, specifically the tribes of Gad and Zebulun. The Igbo people have long practiced customs that bear striking similarities to those found in Judaism. These include male circumcision on the 8th day, observing a day of rest similar to the Sabbath, and dietary restrictions akin to kosher laws. The claim of the Igbo to Israelite ancestry has fascinated scholars and religious leaders alike, though their exact historical connection to the ancient Israelites remains debated. Their faith in their Israelite heritage is strong. In recent decades, a growing number of Igbo people have formally embraced Judaism, adopting Jewish rituals and practices while maintaining their belief that they are the descendants of the lost tribes. The Lemba of Southern Africa. Further south, in the nations of Zimbabwe and South Africa, the Lemba people claim to be descendants of the tribe of Levi. The Lemba have maintained a unique identity, even within their predominantly African surroundings. Their customs, including ritual slaughter, circumcision, and dietary laws, reflect ancient Jewish practices. The Lemba's oral history speaks of their migration from a place called Sina, believed to be in modern-day Yemen, and of their priestly heritage. DNA studies conducted in the late 20th century provided some support for their claims. Genetic markers, particularly the Cohen modal haplotype, which is often associated with the Jewish priesthood, the descendants of Aaron, were found among Lemba men, particularly those from the Buba clan, which traditionally served a priestly role within the community. This genetic evidence lends credence to the Lemba's belief that they are indeed descendants of the ancient Israelites, possibly Levites who were exiled and migrated to southern Africa. The Native American and British Israelite theories. Beyond these well-documented claims, more speculative theories have emerged over the centuries. In the 19th and 20th centuries, some scholars and religious groups posited that the lost tribes had migrated even further afield. The British Israelite movement argued that the Anglo-Saxon peoples were the descendants of the lost tribes, specifically the tribe of Ephraim, interpreting biblical prophecies to support their claims. Similarly, certain fringe groups have suggested that if American tribes in the distant days be the remnants of the lost tribes, citing cultural parallels and linguistic similarities, though these theories are widely considered pseudoscientific. These modern-day claims, ranging from well-documented communities to more speculative theories, continue to captivate the imagination. Could these groups truly be the long-lost descendants of the ancient Israelites, fulfilling the prophecies of their eventual return? Whether or not these claims hold historical truth, they undeniably point to the enduring legacy of the lost tribes, a mystery that has spanned millennia and continues to inspire faith, hope, and curiosity. The Bible offers profound insight into the future destiny of the lost tribes of Israel, not only highlighting their scattering but also pointing to their eventual restoration. These prophecies are spread across both the Old and New Testaments, with recurring themes of regathering, reunification, and redemption, all tied to the fulfillment of God's divine plan. The lost tribes are not a forgotten relic of ancient history, but rather a critical piece in the puzzle of end-time prophecy, poised to play a pivotal role in the culmination of God's promises to Israel. One of the most vivid and hopeful images concerning the restoration of the lost tribes is found in Ezekiel chapter 37, where the prophet is given a vision of the valley of dry bones. This striking vision shows a valley full of lifeless bones, which miraculously come together, gain flesh, and are ultimately brought to life by the breath of God. This dramatic resurrection symbolizes not only the physical and spiritual renewal of the people of Israel, but also the reunification of the once divided kingdom. Ezekiel explicitly states that this vision represents the entire house of Israel, including the lost tribes who will one day be brought back from exile and reunited with the tribes of Judah under one king, the Messiah. This prophecy underscores the notion that the division of Israel is not permanent. The once separated northern and southern kingdoms will again become one nation, never to be divided again. This reunification is central to the ultimate redemption of Israel. As Ezekiel chapter 37 verse 22 proclaims, "I will make them one nation in the land, on the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king over them all." A further emphasis this theme of regathering is Isaiah chapter 11 verse 12, where the prophet speaks of a second, global exodus. He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four corners of the earth. This passage not only echoes the hope of Ezekiel's vision, but expands it into a global context. The lost tribes, scattered across distant lands, will be brought back to their ancestral homeland in a divinely orchestrated regathering. Many scholars and believers view this prophecy as being fulfilled in part by the modern-day return of groups like the Beit Israel of Ethiopia and the Beni Israel of India, who have been brought back to Israel through dramatic efforts. These modern-day returns, such as Operation Moses and Operation Solomon, are seen as tangible reflections of Isaiah's prophecy, signaling that the process of regathering has already begun. Yet the full realization of this prophecy is expected to unfold in the future, when all the tribes, no matter where they have been dispersed, are brought back to the land of Israel. The theme of the regathering of Israel also appears prominently in the New Testament, particularly in the book of Revelation. In Revelation chapter 7, the vision of the 144,000 sealed individuals stands as a powerful testament to the ongoing importance of the 12 tribes in God's redemptive plan for the end times. According to the text, 12,000 individuals from each of the 12 tribes are sealed for protection during the Great Tribulation, marking them as special servants of God who will play a crucial role in the final events of human history. This passage is often viewed as symbolizing the preservation and restoration of Israel, including the lost tribes, in the ultimate fulfillment of God's promises. The sealing of the 144,000 from the 12 tribes reflects the idea that the tribes, though scattered and seemingly lost, are never truly forgotten by God. Their identity and purpose remain integral to His divine plan for the redemption of the world. While the names of all 12 tribes are listed in Revelation chapter 7, it is interesting to note that Ephraim and Dan are omitted from the list, with the tribe of Joseph and his son Manasseh included instead. The omission of Dan has led to various interpretations among scholars. Some suggest that the tribe of Dan was omitted due to its association with idolatry, as seen in Judges 18, where members of the tribe established their own priesthood and worshipped idols. Others believe that Dan's absence in Revelation might hint at a future judgment or redemption specific to the tribe. Nonetheless, the overarching message of the 144,000 underscores the continued significance of all the tribes in God's redemptive timeline. Moreover, throughout the Old Testament, the idea of Israel's regathering is deeply connected to the Messianic age, a time when the Messiah will reign over a restored Israel and bring peace and justice to the earth. Jeremiah chapter 23 verses 3-6 speaks of this future restoration, promising that God will gather the remnant of His flock from all the countries where they have been scattered, and they will be fruitful and increase in number. This gathering will occur under the righteous rule of the branch of David, the Messiah, who will reign wisely and do what is just and right. The mention of the branch of David points directly to the Messiah, who is prophesied to restore the full glory of Israel, bringing both the lost tribes and the tribes of Judah together under one eternal kingdom. Similarly, Zechariah chapter 10 verses 6-12 reinforces the idea that the tribes of Israel, including Ephraim, will be gathered and brought back to their land. Zechariah emphasizes God's compassion toward the house of Judah and the house of Joseph, Ephraim's descendants, stating, "I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph. I will bring them back because I have compassion on them. They will be as though I had not rejected them." This passage further supports the notion that God's covenant with all the tribes of Israel remains intact, and His promise to regather and restore them will be fulfilled. The prophecies of Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Revelation are not merely ancient words of hope, but serve as blueprints for the future restoration of Israel. The lost tribes may have been scattered and hidden from the pages of history, but the Bible assures us that their story is far from over. As we move closer to the fulfillment of these end-time prophecies, the role of the lost tribes will come into sharper focus, and their return will be a monumental event in the unfolding of God's divine plan for Israel and the world. The lost tribes of Israel are more than a historical mystery. They are at the heart of biblical prophecy, with their return signaling the approach of the Messianic age. As we see groups claiming to be descendants of these tribes reemerge, we witness prophecy unfolding in real time. Their story is far from over, and as we draw closer to the fulfillment of these ancient promises, it is a reminder that God's plan is still being revealed. If this exploration into the lost tribes of Israel and their role in the end times has inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video from Bible Tank. Join us as we continue to uncover how ancient prophecies are shaping our modern world.